So, yesterday, when I sent you a voicemail, I mentioned the art of receptivity and the art of receiving. And this is something that's really awakened within me, and I've started to really give a lot of attention lately because of how significant that is for living a life that is full and living a life that is in presence and living a life that is rich. What would you say
Mm.
is your experience of that, and how do you relate to that?
Yes, thank you for inviting that in. So, for me, the art of receptivity and being, for me, it's about being awakened in our senses, essentially. So, being in the present moment, in the body. So, anything from touching the body, being aware of our surroundings, what we see, what we feel on our skin, what we smell. All of that is awakening the senses and being in our sensual essence and being able to be receptive to what our body is picking up on, but also what our energy field, what our soul is picking up on. So we must be fully present. My experience has been to be able to be fully present and in my body, in my senses, connected to my senses, to be able to be receptive and to be understanding what it is that is coming in through, be it emotions, um, what other people are bringing up for me, what situations are bringing up for me, what is it that my body, that this vessel is wanting to show me. We need to be awakened to that, and to be able to do that is connecting to our senses so that we can be receptive. It's almost like an antennae, you know, and opening up that channel for the information to come in through the antennae. If it's blocked and numb, which is what I have experienced in my life and I see in clients, is that there's this numbing of what is happening in our vessel so that we're not able to be receptive of our own environment and therefore receive from ourselves and receive from others. So going back to the basics is really coming back to our body and moving past that numbness or that pushing down of whatever it may be, the emotions, the feelings, the fear, the anger, really being present in the body is what creates the bank of the river for the water to flow through. So being able to be present with our body then allows all of these sensations, our sensitivity and our receptivity, to come up. So it's been really a journey for me to connect with my body and be in this vessel. So touching, hugging myself, using essential oils to awaken the smell, being in my present moment by looking at what my environment is around me. That has helped me to be in receptive mode. Mm.
Beautiful sharing.
Mm.
Beautiful sharing. And you could say that the word that comes to mind as you're speaking is also how receptivity is so connected to allowing, to being in allowing, as opposed to, like you said, suppressing and pushing away. And by tendency, we avoid what we label or consider to be negative or undesirable, and then we crave what we want and what we desire.
Mm.
So, speaking about presence and receiving, for me, a pretty powerful affirmation is to receive life, in the moment. And life is inherently good, inherently graceful. So living life and living in the body with an attitude of wanting to receive life. And I really feel and perceive that as a civilization as a whole, we've really blocked that channel. And there is so many protective mechanisms because that are stemming from childhood, and they have served a function, but they also cut us away from life, or they cut us off from life. So when it comes to receiving, this is also connected to the emotional brain. We have the neocortex, the emotional brain, and the primal brain. So when we function for the neocortex, we're analytical, we think, and we perceive through our eyes, while the emotional brains is we receive through our senses. We feel life in the moment, right now.
Mm.
And that happens on many levels. So you have the physical, which is one continuum, by the way. It's like life, reality, everything we experience is one continuum. So we have, like you brought in, our physical senses, and also what you said around energy, like pure vitality and pure presence that can manifest in so many ways. And when we are, you could say, in freedom of being, usually these energies manifests with a lot of space. And when there is a lot of space, there isn't that sense of being contracted and dense and heavy, but rather there is this buoyancy and lightness. And having said that, I think it's so crucial in that same breath to re-emphasize allowing. So if we are manifesting in ways that are dense or negative, or negative is only a label, so I'm going to take that away. If we manifest in ways that are dense, where we feel heavy, we can feel sad, or we can even feel angry, that can also be received in a way that is wholesome. If we're truly honest about that, that is a true receiving, and that is a true expression of life in the moment, you could say. And then if we allow that, it will also unravel. It can unravel deep insights as to where we might be stuck and where we might be holding on or grasping, or reveal to us a belief or a perception that we are maintaining in our consciousness, in our mind, that is generating that emotional state. And usually when that comes to clarity, it transforms into more elevated emotions, that of love, compassion, gratitude, and we can also awaken our mind, so we have that sense of clarity and really experiencing kind of the exquisite nature of our essence and the intelligence of that unraveling. So we can open a whole new universe of the human potential only through receiving, through allowing, and through being really committed to finding out the truth of our situation.
Mm.
And receiving the truth of our situation.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. I also feel linking into that is the concept and the field of unconditional love and love itself, and that love is one of the highest vibrations and is something that is present within us, in our soul at all times, but that it is something that we tend to, like you said earlier, because of conditioning and ways that we've been brought up, to withhold and to feed drip when we feel like like we can, or when we feel like that person or that situation has passed us a test, so to speak. And that reflection of our external way of giving love and receiving love is a reflection of how we give ourselves love. And this is something that I've been going through recently, through difficult or very deep lessons, ancestral lessons that I'm carrying around how I have learned to express my love, has been very much on this basis of I need to protect myself. And therefore, in my own situations and moments that have arisen in my life, I have been unable to receive my own unconditional love because I have measured myself in my reactions, in what I've done wrong, in that shouldn't have been that way, or I could have done this better, or basically judging ourselves through how we live in love with ourselves. And that is part of being able to receive what we were talking about, is a big understanding of how unconditional love moves through our body, how we've been taught to give and receive love from a young age, from our parents and from our society, and how now it's a time for us to really relearn that. And how can we do that? It's only by being present with ourselves, as we were talking about earlier, coming back to the vessel. Because the situations around us, the universe is always going to give us situations that help us to grow, help our soul to evolve and expand and experience different textures. So the situations won't necessarily change, but it's about how you respond, whether you're reacting from a space of wounding, of I'm going to withhold my love because this doesn't feel safe or whatever, as opposed to feeling it and giving yourself anyway that unconditional love. So it's about, really, for me, it's recently brought up how I am in love with myself unconditionally, and how I can give myself that more and more every time, even if it's a painful, difficult situation, even if it's a beautiful situation. Giving myself more of that has helped me to come more into presence and deeper union, and understanding how my soul can expand from that place, and how powerful it really is to be in love unconditionally with yourself. It's something that, talking about it, like, I've heard this concept for a long time, but talking about it is different to living it. And so it's up to us to look at every scenario, person, moment that comes our way to be an initiation, a teaching, to go deeper into union with ourselves, into unconditional love. Because we have so many of these conditionings, like you were saying, the inner child wound, when we grow up and when we transition into like early puberty around 11, 12, 10, 11, 12. That's when we start to express our love to our parents in a different way. It has more of a sexual energy to it, because our body, our hormones are changing. And in that transitional moment, our parents, the way that they respond to us, can have a big impact on the way that we express ourselves in our sexual energy, in the way that we give ourselves unconditional love. And so there's many scenarios, obviously, this is just one to do with sexuality and sexual energy and unconditional love in that area. But unconditional love is around so many different things, and it is linked to the way that we've been taught. And so it's in our body, it's in our system, that this is how we should react. It takes a lot of courage and dedication to change that, but only we can do that by being present with ourselves, by noticing, this is what happens to me normally. This is how I normally react. And I go into my pain body, or I go into my anger body, or I go into my hyperactivity body. And I'm always doing the same thing. And I can see that I'm not changing anything, that I'm manifesting the same reactions. And it's like we stay in this loop, but actually you have the power to get yourself out of that. To, instead of it being just a circle, it becomes a spiral where you're going further and further up with yourself and breaking deep cycles that are within yourself and also within your ancestry that have been taught to you from your mother and your father. So yeah, it's a big teaching, which is abundant, not always easy.
You have the power.
Yeah.
That really stands out, the upward spiral and the fact that everybody who's tapping into this, we all have the power as individual beings. We all have and what fundamentally is required is a choosing, it's a choice, and life unravels in its own time and with its own progression and with its own pace. But fundamentally, it's all about, really tapping into this. Do I want to really receive myself and receive life? And do I want to live a life of love? And simply making that choice, and that makes it very simple on that level. Just, do I really want that? Is that kind of something that I want to dedicate myself to? Just sitting with that contemplation, which is completely up for grabs. There is no right or wrong answer in that. That is simply a consideration we all can make. And when we then land on the answer, there is a whole new pathway that opens up for us, depending on what we land on. If we say no, then that would be one pathway. I want to prioritize something else. I want to prioritize whatever I'm doing already. Okay, that's one path. And then that path has a certain vibration. And then you feel, okay, love, exploring life's possibilities, embracing myself, accepting myself, and really dedicating myself to the work of resolving these inner conflicts and showing up in life. And then immediately, there is a shift, there is a quantum shift that happens. And this is something I've seen in myself and that I see in other human beings. And it's very much about intention and how we direct our lives. And it is so beautiful because it makes it so available and accessible for everybody and for anyone to really cultivate that choosing and really cultivate that aspiration and that desire for love and that desire to live a life that is of good, in the right sense of the word, not good evil as such, but really benevolent and caring and evolutionary. So I think everything you bring in is very beautiful, and this whole the notion of unconditional love as well, which in somewhat on some level can, for the common man would feel somewhat distant. I can imagine. I mean, just speaking for myself, if I were to think about unconditional love like 4 years ago, I would be like, what is that?
Yes. Same.
And over the years, I started out with saying to myself, I don't know what love is.
Yeah.
I said that to myself. That was, I think, just before I went to India 4 years ago. I acknowledged to myself, I don't know what love is. I don't know, but I want to find out. I want to find out. I want to discover. And I must say, on the back of that is really opened more and more and more. So it's really speaking to the power of our consciousness and the power of our being to choose and to direct ourselves.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I feel that what you say, I resonate with that as well. The not knowing what love is, or unconditional love is, truly not knowing how that feels in the body, not knowing how it feels in your energy field. And we're all learning still, like I'm learning. It's such a crazy concept, isn't it, to think that as human beings here on this planet, that we don't know what that is. And it's such a, it's one of the, if not the first energetic blueprints of our soul when we come in. You know, if you think of children, they're just full of unconditional love. And then as we grow older, we learn to be a different way through whatever life we've gone through. And it's, yeah, it does, the word that comes to me is sad to think about that, but also it is a learning that we're going through as a human race, to really understand and understand what it feels to be unconditional love. You know, and the fact that we've not had that is helping us to see the opposite, the polar opposite. And I want to touch upon the concept of the feminine and the masculine, and the concept of the everything that is dark feminine and masculine, which means everything that is the earthly realms, like everything that is to do with the body. And the light masculine and feminine is everything to do with the higher realms, let's say etheric. And what you just said earlier of the unconditional love, and if you said if you'd asked me 4 years ago what unconditional love is, I wouldn't have known. And you know, I feel the same. I feel that that's such a etheric, higher realm concept, isn't it, or feeling of unconditional love. And sometimes it feels so hard to attain, because we're here in this body, and there's all of this stuff that we're doing and that our body needs, and constant fast moving pace life, that we think, well, that's so far up and out there that it's something that we then externalize. But the teachings of the dark masculine and feminine and the light masculine and feminine show us that we have all four of these energies present within our soul at every moment. So the light, masculine and feminine, they have different textures and qualities, but they are about the higher realms, the higher intelligence, the like Mother Mary archetypes, or Jesus archetypes, Buddha. It's all of this which we kind of strive to go towards, and a lot of practices have been about, like this ascending process, a lot that we've seen a lot throughout this Piscean age. But then it disconnects us to the darker, the body realms, the dark masculine and the dark feminine. There's almost like this disconnection between the two, because we feel like, oh, we're going up, we're ascending. The unconditional love is something that's up and out there. It's God. It's not here in me. But when we understand that it is here, in all of these energies are here within us at all times, then it becomes something that is not so difficult to really feel and understand. So I just wanted to offer that, because I felt that so much as well, you know, that it's, how can I ever have that? How am I deserving of that? How am I enough for that? And all of this shaming around what we can receive, and how it's so limited, how we limit that for ourselves. And that by understanding that we have these energies, the feminine, masculine, light and dark within us at all times, we can utilize them to integrate the light and the dark, the light into the dark and the dark into the light, and the dark being the body, earth, if you think about the color of earth, it's darker color. So it's not, dark doesn't mean bad, or light doesn't mean good. It's just they have different qualities. It's different realms. So yeah, that's something that we can utilize in terms of reminding ourselves that unconditional love is, as you say, it's a choice. It's a choice that we make to see that as, it's here. I am here.
Yeah, what comes up for me as you speak is when we speak about love, how the process of really discovering love is like an unveiling, or I don't know how you unveiling, where what we thought we think of things drops away and what is left is love. So it's in some sense a regression as opposed to something we move towards. And I think,
Mm.
like I said again, for myself, in 4 years ago, I have no clue what even love was on a very basic level. I didn't really feel that I could grasp that. I couldn't relate to that on a very tangible level. And the same went for compassion and all these other concepts that sometimes can feel and hear like lofty in some sense, you know. So yeah, at the end of what you said, you mentioned choosing, and I really fall back onto that of like when we make a choice in a certain direction, we open our lives to receive a certain wisdom and knowledge and receive a pathway to really have that revealed and seen. But if we reject it, perpetually reject it, it doesn't have an entryway. You can never enter that. There is no portal to enter. So speaking about the masculine, the possibility for wholeness, the possibility to really embody our authentic self, it really boils down to our choosing and our prioritizations, what really matters to us. And by really contemplating, and this has to happen on the inside, like for each individual, because or else then it's something external telling you what to do, or that doesn't work because we need to find our own inner fire to really to seek the truth of our being, to seek the truth of love, like what is love in the first place, really discover that and find out like openly. So it starts with very much self-honesty, just like I don't know, that's how it started for me. At least I have no clue. Let me find out, let me seek out people who might be able to share with me or transmit some knowledge about it, and then maybe I'll have some taste of it. And we've all have tastes of it. Maybe we don't recognize it in the moment, but it's something that we can always relate to on some level. Our soul can relate to that on some level, and that is also like an indication so that we can be discerning as to how love shows up and what is not love, how love is not manifested. So this is something we can discern. It takes time. It takes time. It's not
Yeah.
going to happen overnight. No, no, no. That didn't happen for me overnight. That's 100%.
Yeah.
So it takes time. Just that is why for me, I emphasize dedication. Just choose and be dedicated. Choose something that feels right, heartful, and just be dedicated. Allow it to unravel. It will take time. It takes
Mm.
years. And that is a part of the journey. Just enjoy that journey, and which not, like you said, you're not always going to enjoy, but like if you've committed to something, commit, dedicate, and let's move, let's surf and see where we end up.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's that dedication to the self, to the soul, to what your soul has come here to learn, to expand on, to feel. Your soul is infinite, and how many lifetimes has it come back to continue supporting the process? And what we can do is, like you say, choose and be always come back to ourselves and be committed to the self, to being a sovereign being, but at the same time being receptive, what we're talking about earlier, being able to give that out, but without doing it in a way of externalizing, seeking, and also without doing it in a way of like, I'm giving, and then I become drained. And also what you said about being honest with yourself, like I had that where I said to myself, like, yeah, I'm scared to go into unconditional love. I'm scared to feel this stuff. And that's so important to do with yourself, to be honest, and don't have to always be the one who knows it all and the one who has all the answers and who is just this higher being. It's important to be honest and to say, yeah, I'm scared, yeah, I don't know. It's part of committing and listening to yourself. That's important to the soul's process. And something really important that I feel that you said earlier as well was the opening of the doors. Like when we resist something that is coming our way because we're in our usual pattern or trigger of, basically, we can also not even be aware that we might be in a trigger or a pattern. There's that, either we're not aware of it and so we completely block it out, or we're aware of it but we don't have that commitment, or we don't choose our soul's growth to be able to go into it, to be able to walk over that bridge. We're like, oh, this, either I don't feel ready for it, and that's fine, or I know that it's there, and I'm afraid, and I'm going to just stay in my comfort zone, and I'm not going to address it. And it's then the opportunity is, like you said, pushed away. And that's when we do that, then yes, the opportunity is pushed away, or whatever it is pushed away, but it will come back. It will come back round, because your soul wants to expand and wants to learn and wants to feel that unconditional love, and for you to come into deeper union with yourself. So that's why it's so important, to what you said, to choose yourself and to listen to what's coming up, and to go into these personal triggers and wounds, wherever they come from, whether they're from your mother, from your father, growing up in society, the country that you've lived in, to be present with those and address them, and through the triggers that come your way, then you can see if you're reacting from a space of limitation or engaging from these beliefs. And then you choose how you want to act from that space, whether you want to go over the bridge and choose to expand. And it, like you said, it's not immediate. It takes a lifetime, and sometimes it's quick, but it's mostly, it's a process. It's an experience. It's going through that feeling, and that's the choice that we make for ourselves.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Process, unraveling, choosing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's powerful.
Yeah. And in that, there is, I mean, one thing we've been circling around here is allowing oneself to be in the space of I don't know.
Yeah.
And when it's just such a potent space. That is the space of infinite possibility, really.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And some would suggest that it demands courage to simply step into that, because you need to let go of the structures and the ideas that's been defining you and informing you up to this point, and simply allow oneself to take a step back and say, I don't know.
mm-hmm.
And then you can have that spark of joy. Let's find out. Let's explore and let's discover. And with this conversation, for instance, there might have been some insights that's been arisen for people listening. But yeah, I just want to say that like I really want to support, I'm here for you and I'm here for everyone who is listening, and I just want you all the best. I want the best for myself. I want the best for you, Lucia. And so with me you have an ally 100% that I can say.
Mm.
Because this process is intense and this plane is intense. This plane
Mhm.
is highly, highly disordered and confused and disconnected from a lot of the things we speak about. So it's no easy plane to navigate. This is a fact.
Mm.
And a lot of us, we don't have that many allies that we can lean on. And most people on this path are quite solitary and alone with their
Mhm.
processes. So
Mhm.
energetically, we're here, and
Yeah.
yeah, so much goodness, so much love for all of humanity and all the sentient beings on this plane,
Mm.
and we're all fundamentally, this is my belief and my experience, is that we all want love, and we
Yes.
all long for love. We long for connection. We long for union, and we long for intimacy. We long for to really experience life in a rich, authentic, mystical kind of way.
Mm.
And again, the invitation is simply to contemplate that. If that is real for you listening, if that is real for me, if that is real for you, Lucia, and to what degree, that is real for us. And if it's not real for us, fair play. You know what I mean? Love is still here.
Mhm. Yes, yes, it's true. The intimacy and connection is something that is so vital to our existence here as human beings. Um, it's our it's one of our primal needs, and it's one of, if not the, I would say, in my experience, best way to learn and expand. Like the solitary process that you mentioned, and the way that our society is, um, the connectivity and intimacy especially is, and intimacy is anything, as we've talked about. This is intimacy, having deep, meaningful conversations, looking into someone's eyes, placing your hand on someone's shoulder that you've seen in the street, and that you see that they're crying, and you're like, are you okay? That's intimacy. And I feel that there's so much of that's missing, um, in our. I see it around, and of course, it's within myself. Something that I cultivate and that I strive towards is that authentic intimacy and that authentic connection from a heart-centered space. That is, for me, when I express from that space, it's so liberating to not have to feel like I should say this, I should behave in a certain way, um, I should go to work because I have to, when actually my body is extremely tired. It's that then when you express from a place of true authenticity and intimacy with yourself, then you can have these deeper, intimate connections with others. That is when that's such a supportive process, like you said, because we need allies, we need our soul family, we need our people around us to support our process. It's so important to have a support network around. And I think we forget this a little bit. We get kind of like caught up in our own studies and books and courses and our own process. But actually a big part of that is you being able to share that with your soul family. Those are people that are there for you, that feel you. It doesn't have to be like a long conversation or anything. It's even just coexisting and being able to feel someone. It's so important to our expansion, because we're energetic beings, and because this connectivity and intimacy is a primal need of ours, it supports our expansion. Yeah.
Yay! Wonderful, wonderful. I'm aware of time, so we're going to wrap it there.
Mm-hmm.
And if people want to touch base with you or connect with you, where can they find you?
Yes, thank you. So you can find me via, I'm on Instagram, and my name on Instagram is Lucia Womb Healing, like the womb. And my website is Lucia Healing. So you can find me, and the link is also in my page on the Instagram, and you'll also see the link to my Facebook there. And yeah, please connect with me. I work deeply with the masculine and the feminine energies to support clients. I do one-to-one sessions and also coaching programs to support clients to coming into a deeper understanding and a deeper connection with yourself, as what we've talked about. And this is how I live my life, and this is my passion, to be able to gift this to other beautiful souls. So please connect with me, and I'd love to hear also what has come up for you in listening to this beautiful talk that we've had. Any questions, any personal experiences that you want to share with me, I want to hear from you. So get in touch, find me on Instagram, or find my website and write me an email about what has come up for you from listening to this. Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, yeah. And as always, that's wonderful, and that wonderful. As always, you can find me on theartofevolution.org, where I offer one-to-one mentoring, this, that, and the other, and this podcast, of course, which is a series with many episodes exploring topics related to, the human potential. So this has been a beautiful conversation, and I'm gonna leave you and love you with that. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you. Lots of love.